This episode is
only built for Juggle Snobs.
Word. Hello and welcome to the season finale of Skratch Snobs. I'm Akiko Love.
I'm Mike C.
Is this episode 11? This is episode 11,
That's right,
right?
11.
Episode 11, season finale. We finally got here after, wow, 3-4 months of just grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys happy? We're totally happy. All right, so to kick this off, it is all about Mike C today. We're back with the crowd favorite. Breakdowns are breakdowns, but we have a little different twist. Again, with the bumper, he said this is for the Juggle Skratch Snobs, for all the Juggle heads. I hope you guys enjoy. So without further ado, here is Professor Mike C.
You guys listen to Wu-Tang, right?
Wu-Tang.
Okay, so when I said only built for Juggle Snobs, Akiko didn't know what that meant. It's named after, this Raekwon album, only built for Cuban links.
Yeah.
You seriously don't know what that is?
Mm-hmm. If I heard some of those tracks, I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm not really a Wu-Tang fan. Sorry.
Real hip-hop head right here. When I was researching this stuff, I found that it's kind of hard to pin down what came from who sometimes, because when you ask one of these pioneers about it, they'll kind of point to someone else and say, oh, I was influenced by him. So like, for example, there'll be some technique that, in my memory, P-Trix came up with, but then you ask him about it, he's like, oh, well, I took something from Roli. But then I ask Roli about it, and he's like, oh, well, actually, I got that from Raider. And, I can't ask Raider about it now. So what we're going to do is focus on what people have done with the very end of their beat juggle patterns. First, I'll explain what a bar is. So a bar is 4 counts, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And, when you break it down, it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. So people have done so much stuff with beat juggling and different beat juggling patterns that we can, if you even focus super close on just the very end of their patterns, even that will show how much funk and variation they put in it. Okay, so the first thing I'll show is kind of a standard ending of a beat juggle pattern.
Don't be a basic bitch. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, it...
No, we need a base. I'm just a foundation.
All right. Yeah. So first we're going to look at a basic beat juggle pattern ending so that we can contrast it with some of the crazy, more advanced shit that people came up with later over the years. So a typical beat juggle pattern might end with just using the snare, like boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom. Or a kick in the snare, like boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. So as you're about to see, people came up with a lot more innovative stuff beyond just those basic endings. The first beat juggle pattern ending that I want us to take a look at is by Roli Rho from 5th Platoon. This video we're looking at here, he's battling in the 97 ITFs. Now, if you look at the ending of his beat juggle pattern, he does what I think is kind of like a predecessor of the Swift Rock real-time juggling concept that we looked at a few episodes ago. Watch how at the end of his beat juggle pattern, he's not placing the snare or a kick in a snare by hand. He found some section of the song that while he was doing a breakdown pattern, he was able to use a certain section of that beat to just let it play for a while. And even though it was just playing without him stopping the record by hand, it still fits into the rhythm of his beat juggle pattern. So watch his left hand. See, he just lets it play right there. So anyway, yeah, real subtle, but you can see how creative and innovative he was just in the ending of his pattern. So this next beat juggle pattern ending that we're going to look at is, I saw it from DJ Deuce of Supernatural Turntable Artists. So I think it kind of builds on what we saw in the Roli Rho clip just a second ago. So what Deuce was doing at that time was he would take a section of the beat and put it on 45. So it would be this kind of long section of the beat. It would normally sound like, but he would take it and put it on 45, and he would use that section as an ending of his beat juggle pattern. So then it would be used like boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. Does that make sense?
Sure, show it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not replicating Deuce's whole pattern, but pay attention to this side to see the creative part that he did as part of his pattern ending. So So, does that make sense?
Woo, tang, hell yeah.
No, seriously, does that make sense? So, like how I explained it, like he would take that section of the beat that
Change it to 45.
yeah, he would take
integrate the 45 on your 33 and use that 45 to end that bar.
Yeah.
There you go.
This next pattern ending that we're going to look at is by P-Trix. So when I saw him do it, he would take a snare and push it twice after that. So it'd be something like boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. Boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. And what I found, whether from him or from other people, is you could also take different parts besides the snare and give it 2 pushes after that, like boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. Boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. So keep an eye on this turntable, and I'll do full patterns to give examples. So again, like the first person I saw do that was P-Trix, but then if you ask him about it, he's always slow to take credit. He'll be like, oh, well, I saw Roli do something similar, or maybe it came from Raider. But first person I saw do that was P-Trix, and he was far from the last person I saw do it. I mean, I've done something like that. I mean,
that's something I would like to practice.
Yeah.
Yay.
So speaking of P-Trix, another beat juggle pattern ending that he came up with is what a lot of people refer to as lazy drumming. I don't know if that term came from P-Trix, but a lot of people have called it that. So pretty much it consists of taking a kick and a snare and doing shit like this. Boom, boom, tap, boom, ba, boom, ba. Boom, boom, bap, boom, ba, boom, ba. Boom, boom, bap, boom, boom. Boom, boom, bap, boom, ba, boom. I fucked up there, but you get the idea. So anyway, that's a concept that I first saw from P-Trix that has influenced a lot of people afterwards as well, including myself.
Likewise, and all I'm going to say about that is I have issue with the name.
Lazy drum?
It is.
I mean, that's what I've heard people call it. I don't know if...
No, I just have issue with the name in the sense that it is no way lazy.
I don't know.
I'm just picking fun at that, that's all.
All the pattern endings we've looked at so far, I feel like I've seen other people kind of take elements of those, including myself, and you know, there's a fine line between fuck you. There's a fine line between influence and biting. And for some reason, this one particular pattern ending that I saw from P-Trix, whenever I see people do it, I'm like, oh, that guy's a fucking biter. So he takes like a kick and a snare that's right before it. So it's basically a kick and a snare, and he'll end like boom, boom, tap, boom, 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 tap, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, for some reason when I see people doing that particular pattern, I'm like, oh, that guy's a biter.
And you never done that pattern?
Nah. See how I'm like all sloppy because I don't even practice it at home because it's... Okay, so now that we've taken a look at a few different juggle pattern endings by different people, hopefully it gets the point across that I wanted to impart to you, which is that if there's so much variation just in the tiny last part of a juggle pattern, imagine how much innovation and different stuff you can do in the rest of your juggling.
Stay original. Mike C particularly chose these DJs because it's a great influence. Also just wanted to give an example of how he studies and prepares for his own juggling. See that process and how those DJs in particular have influenced his style.
We've been taking a look at the technical aspects of what these guys have been doing in their juggles. But I think the most important part to take away is that, you know, when they do these different techniques, it sounds good. Like, it sounds dope. So just because you come up with some dope new technique or pattern, make sure that whatever beat you choose to do it on, it sounds good on that beat, because different patterns sound better on different beats. And, you know, you're looking for what sounds good, not just what is most difficult to do. And when you can do both, that's when you come up with something really dope, just like these guys that we've been looking at.
Do you have any hints or tips for that?
Any what?
Any hints or tips for looking for that perfect beat?
You know, what I do is, like, whatever new pattern I learn or come up with, I'll try it on all kinds of different beats. And, you know, there will be a pattern that I come up with on one beat, and it'll sound all right. But then when I do that same pattern on another beat, and it'll sound way better. So I just go through that process a lot. It takes a lot of time, and it results in a lot of kind of wasted routines. But it's like you just keep coming up with a bunch of different patterns, try them on all kinds of different records, different beats, and you just whittle down until you come up with the ones where it sounds the best.
Do you have a preference or have a particular ear for a certain bar or certain samples? Are you like, ooh, these are ones I particularly like to juggle, or
you know,
this is what I prefer?
I try to kind of keep an open mind, because I think the best juggle patterns, or my favorite ones, are those where it sounds best on that particular beat. To me, it kind of turns me off when I see people doing stuff that I feel like it can be done on any beat, or when people do the same patterns on different beats. When
I'm looking for juggle samples in particular, I have, I guess, a simple guideline. Like, I like notes that are clean and clear, and I try to use juggle sequences and bars that are more minimal than heavy.
Okay.
It just
so like stripped down, broken down.
Yes, it just makes, for me, auditorially or just audio-wise, more nicer and cleaner on the ears. Where some juggles, when it's too busy or there's just two things going on, it just hurts my ears a little bit. So that's what my own personal preference.
I agree with that. I think the reason I like juggling stripped down, kind of broken down parts of the beat is that it's more likely that your different patterns will sound good when it's broken down. Having said that, I think when you use other parts of the beat, that's when, like, you have to get creative to make it sound good, and I think that's where a lot of the dope stuff comes from.
The challenges. Gotcha. All right. Kind of just to wrap this portion of the conversation, tying in musicality and technicality. That's a difficult challenge for myself. For me, sometimes I get way too technical and forget the musicality, and so having that balance, these DJs in particular did a great job and really express themselves as a musician, tableist, not just like a technician. So we just want to highlight that and point that out. Yeah,
one thing I kind of do towards that goal is sometimes I'll record my juggles and then I'll just listen to them. Like, I won't watch the video of me actually doing them. I'll just listen to the sound of it. And if that isn't good enough, if it doesn't sound good, then fuck what it looks like, you know. Nice tip. Okay, so to wrap up the show, we're going to talk about one last thing, and I think it's an important thing. We kind of brought it up in the beginning of the show, concept about biting. I already said what I thought. Wait, what did you say exactly? Oh, in my mind, there's like certain things someone will do that if I see someone else doing it, I'm like, ah, that was too unique. You shouldn't be doing that. No one else should be doing that but the person who invented it. And I gave one example of that in that one pattern ending by P-Trix. Right, right. So as far as biting, I, as a rookie and a student, I highly encourage it. Just for her when you're practicing at
yes.
home to learn things.
Training purposes alone, yes, I highly recommend that. But if you are representing yourself at a competition or anywhere else and claiming it to be your original content, then that's when you run into boo-boos, and that's not cool.
Kind of one example of the difference between, you know, learning from other people and biting is like, I know guys who will learn other people's entire routines, like all the patterns, all the breakdowns, and they'll do them at home just to teach themselves so that they have that skill set. And I think that's cool, but, you know, don't go doing someone else's shit outside of your place, because then that's a violation.
And claiming it as your own. Because you're playing homage, that's cool. It's like,
oh yeah, if you're like, hey, check out this, hey, remember this one Mixmaster mic routine, and you're doing it, you know. But when you just go out and do it and you're not giving credit to who you got it, then it's like you're trying to take credit. And
yes.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Just give credit where it's due. That's all.
So that was episode 11 of Skratch Snobs. Thanks for watching. This brings season 1 of our series to a close, and we'll be back soon with season 2.
Please hit that like button, subscribe, spread the love, and we will see you guys in season 2. Peace and love.